Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming. This event is a poster session called Educational via Dreams and Failures. It is showcasing educational language learning via projects. Our special guests will share their stories about creating and developing their educational projects, as well as their goals and dreams, fears and hopes, and successes and failures that they experienced in the process all so that you can learn how these resources can be used for your own language learning or teaching needs without a hustle of figuring it out on your own. As a bonus, we've prepared for you even more information on some VR language learning apps and games that are available for the public. This event is a part of the Educators in VR UniVirtual Experience vLanguage Team Conference. It's a two-day conference. Yesterday was our first day, and today is our second and the last one. The conference is featuring expert educators, researchers, instructional designers, world builders, and more to explore the potential for learning languages in XR. We are the educators in VR the Language project team. Our project explores learning languages and art of language in the virtual learning environment. We host regular meetups, workshops, special events, and conferences on the use of spatial technology in language education and training. Amani and I are the leaders of this team project. Amani Al-Hayat is an educator, researcher, voice user interface designer, author, and teacher trainer. She's currently pursuing her doctoral degree in the instructional technology and media program at Teachers College, Columbia University. Uh, Her research interests include conversational AI, extended reality for education, immersive storytelling, intelligent NFTs, and decentralized autonomous organizations. I'm Ekaterina Semenyuk, known as Ginger in Altspace, a teacher of English as a foreign language from Moscow, Russia. I have a background in foreign philology, the history and development of languages, and I used to learn 8 foreign languages. My professional experience includes working with foreign adult students in Sydney and with kids in the Moscow region. Just a brief reminder to our audience, after every presenter's speech, we'll have a short Q&A session where you're very welcome to ask any questions about the project or give any comments or share your stories. So there is a raise hand button in your lower right corner. Once you have something to say or ask, please click it and wait for us to unmute you and amplify your voice. Thanks. Now let me introduce you our first speaker. You can come closer, I guess, to these posters. It's called Sessions VR. With Tom Neuner. So Tom is an ESL teacher, Mandarin Chinese learner, and founder of sessionsvr.com. Unfortunately, Tom couldn't join us today due to his travel to Mexico, so I will tell you about his project. If you have any questions, there's an email address on the poster with pictures in the lower right corner. Feel free to send your questions to Tom using this email or go to his website and you'll find this email. So Sessions VR, it's a freelance marketplace for language tutors in virtual reality. This is what they say. Our goal is simple. We want to connect language learners with tutors in virtual reality. Why we do what we do? The word immersion gets thrown around a lot when talking about learning a language. It's what happens when you move to another country and learn the language. Buying fruit, playing basketball, going out for drinks. Every activity is a language lesson. With virtual reality, this incredibly valuable tool is available to anyone. They're planning for the future. We know that this is just the beginning for VR, which is why we offer a flexible platform. We're ready to grow and change with this incredible technology. Our cross-platform support ensures that we will be around through future updates, new apps, new hardware companies, and who knows what else. Sessions VR is cross-platform with multi-device support. You can schedule and attend sessions on most smartphones, computers, and VR headsets. Find the perfect session and meet in your favorite VR app. So search or browse for a tutor or language exchange, check their background information, and read user feedback. You might want you get detailed information on what their platforms and apps they use in their teaching. For example, there's a French teacher, Jacques, and he teaches French conversation classes in Walkabout Mini Golf. Christine teaches French, Chinese, and English in Rec Room. Tom himself teaches and hosts free language exchange classes in Rec Room, where all languages are welcome. Zoom support for those times and topics where VR isn't the best way to communicate. You can meet your tutor in Zoom. We make it easy to search and book a Zoom class with your tutor at any time. And all ages and levels. So they have advanced search filter where everyone can find the best session based on their age, language, skill level, and other preferences. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. We can, I guess, yeah, we can move to the next presenter. Our next presenter is Nicole Lestage. Nicole is an American living and teaching in Southeast Asia for a decade. She is a recent adopter and enthusiast of XR technology, specifically VR, in the classroom. Currently teaching high school English at a private school in Jakarta and developing a program to introduce VR into the curriculum there. So the stage is yours, Nicole. You can come up to the poster so we can see you. Thank you.
Hello, sorry I'm late. I was having a few problems with the internet at my house today.
No
So,
worries. Thanks for
yes, I have been using AltSpace for about, damn it, let's see, um, just under a year. I was previously teaching, sorry, let me amplify here. Sorry about that. I've been using VR in the classroom for about a year. I started at the school I worked at previously with grade 6 students, and it was something that I um, originally, before we started using it, I wound up doing a lot of the back end work, making sure that I had worlds I could take the students to that would be beneficial, that would help us extend our classroom. Um, also, places for us to get together. So at the time that I first adopted VR for the classroom, we were, I think, 18 months into the pandemic, and some of my students that I was teaching had been in the same class for close to 2 years and had never met each other, they'd never seen each other in person. Everything had been over Zoom. So this became the first step, was to get everybody there to socially interact and be in the same space and feel like they were all together. That was the first step. Did a lot of back end work to make sure I had parents buy-in, that they understood it wasn't just going to be a game, if you will, and that they were able to set the students up on either an Oculus or a PC device. Once that happened, I had support of one parent in the classroom who helped make sure that we got all the kids in there on our first try. So the very first time we attempted to go into VR together, both Oculus and um, PCs, the students were all able to get into the world we wanted to go to. They had no problems. They were able to explore. I should say the dad who had helped me, his company had developed a world that they allowed us to use that had games for the kid. We had for the kids. We had scavenger hunts. We had drones we could fly, and it was massive. It was set up on the moon, and it was built to scale the little space that we had. So the kids had a great time. They were flying. They were talking. They were going off with their friends in groups over here, having private conversations that they hadn't really had in months. After that initial visit, I started researching worlds to find out how can I make this beneficial in the classroom. And if you look over here, the bottom one is poetry world that I found, an open world, and we were discussing poetry in our class. So we went in there and read some of the poems in there, talked about figurative language, tried to analyze the poet's intent. And it was kind of cool when we were in there, not just kind of cool, really cool. Um, the kids were having a great time, but also because alt space is open, people, other people were just joining our class. And I'm kind of a mama bear for my students. So when other folks that weren't in our class joined, I would go right up to them and introduce myself and say, "Hi, I'm Nicole. I'm a teacher of 6th grade English, and these people over here, these are my students. We're analyzing poetry. You're more than welcome to watch us, listen, join us if you want, but please take that into consideration about who you're interacting with." And everybody was super cool about it. After that, I took some students from into different worlds. We went into one escape room to work on soft skills. We worked on communication and collaboration. It was critical thinking skills. They had to answer all kinds of questions to get to the successful let's have a party at the end. And this was another group of students, a fifth grade group of students. I went through the same process with them as I did with the sixth grade students and their parents. And we were in a world called A Castle in a Misty Forest, I think it was. And it allowed us to go and uh, ride a zip line, and we're searching for a dragon, which we did eventually find on, I think it was our fourth visit to the world. But I noticed in that situation, fifth graders specifically, it was allowing students who are typically very shy in class, on Zoom, even in person when I taught them in person, the ones that were shy about speaking, they were willing to speak up in their avatar. They were willing to take a leadership role and talk about, offer their ideas, and it helped them develop a confidence that they didn't have in speaking to groups. So overall, in the short time that I was using it, so from October of 2021 through the end of my school year, which was early June of 2022, I was able to bring two elementary school classes into VR and utilize it to work on soft skills as well as address items in the curriculum that we were working on. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Do you have any questions to Nicole about her project?
Hi, Nicole. Can you hear me? It's
Hi.
morning calm.
Sure.
Hi.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, my mic's working this time. I tried to speak to you yesterday when you asked a question in
Oh, yeah.
the group yesterday, but I didn't get around to it. Um, yeah, it's great to actually hear from a teacher that's using VR in the classroom. So thank you for that. First of all, that was really insightful, and yeah, thanks. I guess
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, are your students only learning English? Because I have like a Spanish app that I was going to offer to you to use. Normally we charge, but I figured you were so enthusiastic and so you know, you just sound so great. I'd love to just offer it to you, but I'm assuming
Well,
maybe in
last
Jakarta, then are they learning Spanish or is it just
some
English?
kids are actually, but the school I was at previously, again, it was upper primary, and the entire curriculum is taught in English. So in primary, they don't learn well, I shouldn't say that. They actually learn Chinese. That would be a mistake. They learn Chinese. And then once they go into middle school and high school, they have the opportunity to take French or Spanish as well. The new school that I'm going to, I'll be working with an older population of students, 12th graders, 11th and 12th graders, um, and they only are offered French at that school, so no Spanish wouldn't work. But thank you for the offer.
Yeah,
Keep it in
well,
mind.
yeah, it might be good to keep in touch anyway. So yeah, let me know because
Sure.
yeah, what's the best way of keeping in touch, I guess, other than Space because I don't use this app too often. So
Um, Probably if
do you-
you're on the Discord channels, you can find me same primary six queen on Discord.
primary six screen on Discord, perfect. Thank you
Mhm.
very much.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you
Any
for your
other
time.
questions? Uh, I have a tiny question. Like
Yes.
because we would
Yeah,
like to
sorry, I
talk about
finished. Yeah.
fees also. Yeah, thank you. No worries. About fees. So I wanted to ask, like, what were your fees when you were starting your project?
My fears were because uh were that I was going just to fail terribly. Um, I never considered myself a techie person prior to using Oculus. I was very lucky that I had this one parent in my class who I shouldn't I say that, but I was using a lot of tech in my classroom, but things that were already set up, things that I purchased a subscription for or um, could utilize for finding resources. So I guess tech was always in my classroom, but I had this one dad who thought, "Hey, I know a lot about alt space. His company developed the world, and I know that he actually worked as a consultant for the school, trying to get the school to utilize VR as a cutting edge tool in the classroom and as a marketing um, device, I guess you could say, for recruiting to this private school. And he offered to talk to me about it if I was interested. And I said, sure. And once he did, I the first meeting with him, I was hooked. He took me into the world they created, and I was hooked. My brain started like, oh my gosh, the possibilities, the possibilities, the possibilities. And we had a second meeting about a week later, and I bought an Oculus after the second meeting. Whether or not it was going to work, I was in. I thought VR, I was going to figure out a way. And he's the person who introduced me to educators in VR. He said, "Hey, there's this group. Let's go." And we joined one of the social meetings, like 3 in the morning over here. Uh, and then I met Nick when I was in there, and I've been coming back ever since. And it's where I have some of the best discussions about VR, using VR in the classroom, just like this morning, listening to everybody talk and that thinking out of the box, like go onto TikTok and start making videos. I was like, oh yeah, I'm never really a social media person, but sure, why not? Let's try it. And uh, I keep thinking that it's just going to get better and better for me. I am now at a school again. I've returned that is super progressive, and they heard about my work with VR, and they said, "Let's do it." They had purchased 4 Oculus, um, initially, once I'd signed my contract with them and I told them about the price increase, Meta increasing the price $100, I guess it is on August 1st. So the person I'm working with got approval from the budget that was approved to buy them earlier so we could save some money on them. So we'll have 12 total starting Monday. And they're setting up a specific room for VR, a dedicated room with monitors so that the teacher and cables so the teacher can see where the students are each time they're in VR. We've already researched apps that we want to have and free that whether it's free or paid that we think could be beneficial to not only the curriculum for subjects, but again, those soft skills that you really can't teach in a book. So we're gung ho on this program. So maybe I'm the person I was looking for to write up how do you get this into the classroom and share with other educators going forward. Maybe I'm that person. My questions in the morning session today is I'm worried that people that the hardware companies or we had a presentation from a company out of Singapore that wanted to sell us the school a digital library for the younger students, and they said they had VR too, and they came in with some proprietary devices that wouldn't have worked at all. It was kind of, do you remember the old, I can't remember what they were, but you put the circle with the little pictures and you clicked the slide and you got a picture in front of you. Can't remember what they were called, but it was like that. And I said to the school, I said, you don't want that. That's not what you want. But since they've decided to go with Oculus and not with this proprietary device, this company, this middleman company, although it's an educational company, is like, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? So there's this constant bother about the middle person to try and direct the school to what they think should be involved in a VR program versus teachers in the training department at the school. So I'm worried that that's going to happen, that companies are going to come in and possibly, not all of them, but try and dictate the way VR would be used and put it into a box versus allowing people to just go wild with it.
Yeah, I feel for you. Yes. Thank you so much.
So I'm documenting everything. In case anybody wants, I'm documenting it. I got to figure out a way to put it all down
That's
somewhere and
very valuable,
share it.
by the way.
Yeah.
Sure. Thanks so much for doing
Also,
that.
if I could add, Nicole, Paula McDowell also is working on a book on all of this as well with massive contributors. I'm one of them. So there, people are starting to do this. And so you adding your voice and your experience to it, please let us know how we can help make that happen.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, then.
right.
Thank you so much.
You're
Let's move
welcome.
to the next presenter. Yes, it's Geraldine Periguet. Geraldine is a practitioner in immersive psychopedagogy, author, speaker, and CEO of IXA Pedagogy. She trains teachers and parents through immersive technologies and supports children to reconnect with their desire to learn. So, Geraldine, the stage is yours.
Hello. I guess the amplifier is on now. Is it okay for you for the sounds? Is it good for everyone? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, very nice to meet you, and thank you very much, Katrina, for the introduction. So I'm the founder of the company. You see the logo on the top left. It's called XR Pedagogy, and it's a French-based company. So what we do is we are trying to learn as much as we can about teaching in VR and using as well AR for teaching. And then we developed some courses online on our website. And we also developed some experiences, like tailor-made experiences for either institution or teachers. So this few picture illustrate a bit what we did the last year and we keep on doing. So you see, maybe I would start by this picture because we were very proud to be able to set up a full VR simulation for earthquake in a small island of Caribbean Sea in the French West Indies. And we managed to do that during the COVID crisis over there. So we've been through a lot of difficulties to organize the setup, so I'll be happy to answer question about real life organization once you want to teach in VR. So we do many different experiences, and regarding languages, because here we are talking about teaching languages, we are currently working on two projects. One's called on my left here, the VR tour guide, and one's which I hope will happen next October, called Metaverse Hackathon. And then I will introduce our vision for Metaverse. So the VR tour guide, it's about empowering students, and I'm collaborating with a different institution in Paris and high school in Paris as well, in Versailles to be perfectly precise. And the idea is to empower students so they will organize their own tour, and the teacher would decide either it's a tour to introduce a city, let's say London, or a tour guide to just introduce a country. So there's lots of possibilities. We are taking advantage of wonders and also other application, and we are using Quest. So few sessions are dedicated to introduce VR to students, to help them design their program, their tour, and then when they form a group of two students, they create their own VR tour and present the city or different country, or whether it's a place that they grew up, or to introduce their own culture to other students. And so that's first project we're working on. And then the second project called Metaverse Hackathon. So it was not only about learning languages, but I've got a very motivated, I've met a very motivated mathematics teachers who is also teaching in an international high school. So he wanted to have an idea what to do with the Oculus Quest. And so we come up with an idea because they're organizing a field trip with Italian students and French students. So when they are going to meet, it would happen next October. They want to organize 2 days during the trip where both students, Italian and French, will have to work together to build a virtual environment. Probably we will use AltSpace, we'll take advantage of AltSpace. So once they are together in the same country, they need to interact together in a common language, either Italian, French, or English, and design virtual environments to be able, once they come back to their own country, to develop projects in a distance. And there will be some project links to mathematics, but all languages will be involved. And the idea is that it will continue year after year, because following students will be able to improve or change the virtual environment. A bit challenging right now because we don't really know when will be the date of the trip, and how many we have to coordinate this between Italian high school and the French high school, make sure everyone has the same equipment, and it would be very, very challenging, but everyone is motivated, so I hope it will happen. So if it happens, I will be very happy to present these feedbacks and what we did and how we did. So just, well, that was for a few examples. Also very proud on our website. Just maybe I could There we go. Go here. There on my left, you see on the website, we are trying to list all the apps that could be used for education. And you can search by different topic, disciplines, or equipment, as or you have an Oculus on a HTC, and we try to rate them as well to actually describe how good they are if it's for education. So feel free to comment, to check, because we had the question many times, where can I find some application? What do you use and how do you use it? So this is not our application. We haven't developed it. You may recognize some of them. You have gadgeters here on the picture. You have VR body and others. And so feel free to check. It's all free. And sometimes teacher contact us to give us some application to add. So if you see that some are missing, because I'm pretty sure many are missing, well, we will be happy to add this content to the website. So that was just for you to have some free resources and tools. And maybe I will give a last introduction about what we did as a custom experiences. We developed an experience to prepare for earthquake risk, to prepare for also for hurricane. And you see all this picture in reality about the setup. And we actually managed to do a first demo last years, and it was very challenging because we had the local social problems in addition to COVID, and so the access of school was very limited. So the high school and the institution asked me, well, if we manage to do this demo, you have to make it fit in just one morning. And if we manage that next year, we'll do more often. So my challenge was, how can I make sure that 15 students will experience at least one simulation of earthquake, one 4-minute simulation of earthquake, but everyone should be able to see all the other. We developed 3 teams in total. So we use you have students sitting and have a tablet, and one student is having the headset, and we design 3 different areas. And every time we're changing an area, someone is changing. So one is sitting, the other one is taking the VR headsets, and so on. And this is how we manage to organize, and we trained see the person is actually a person
Hi,
who is working in the institution.
Geraldine, we've lost your audio. If you could re-enter really quickly, we've lost the last paragraph of things you've been saying. Sorry about that.
It's better now.
No, we need you to to re-enter setting. Yeah, go in and hit settings and come back in, and it'll resolve it. Just you don't have to exit. Just re-enter.
Quit space or
No, not quit. I'm having trouble hearing you. Just hit your big circle with a triangle. Go to settings, and general, re-enter, and we can get your audio back. And then we do have some questions for when she gets back.
I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Settings, yeah, settings, general, re-enter.
Settings. General, yes.
Yeah.
I don't enter. Oh, yes, re-enter.
Okay. And just for people to know that in the future, if someone reports that you're having audio issues, that's how to resolve it. Just clears the cache. She'll be right back. The memory of it. And Gintri or Money, you can also mention what's coming up after this event too while she's oh, there she's back. Good. All right.
That was
There we
fast.
Much better. Now we can hear you
Yeah.
again. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel, for your help. So I don't know where did you stop hearing from me?
Those paragraph.
Yeah, it was about just equivalent about 4 or 5 sentences backwards.
Okay, fine. Well, I was just presenting how we managed the setup and the idea of having tablets to encourage the student who hasn't not using the VR headset And this is very important to train the person you see on the picture is not a teacher and is actually working in an institution and doing a lot of work to prepare for the seismic risk, but it was never he never imagined it could us in the class. So we managed to get some volunteer to help us, and we trained them, and all the setup you see here was made just for one morning. But the good news, we managed to do that. And now this year, all the institution, I'm no longer in Guadeloupe because I needed to travel a lot this year. And I'm helping them from distance. And they're organizing demonstration in many schools now on the island. So I'm very, very happy that the protocol that we managed to like together for this morning because it was complicated due to the COVID crisis and some social problem there managed to work. And so my advice for you guys, if you are kind of worry how you're going to teach the first time using VR, is just be don't be afraid to test one time and then maybe use a protocol, ask for some help, but then you'll see once you did it once, you will be able to reproduce and everything will be fine for the next sessions. So I think that's well everything I wanted to say. So I'll be happy if you have question. And I know Laurel mentioned that Paula McDowell is like writing a book with many very interesting people. And as Laurel, I'm one as well who is writing a chapter in this book, and I will speak about a little bit more this particular experience and what we did to ensure emotion of the student are protected even if they are using a simulation of an earthquake. Thank you for your attention.
Beautiful, beautiful project. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, I used your class protocol to teach my young students at school a couple of years ago. So thank you for that. And we have a question from Amani.
Yeah, thank you so much, Geraldine. I was wondering if you can give us some examples of some pedagogical approaches that worked well, yeah, for language educators.
Yes, sure. Well, I haven't especially design pedagogy for language educator, although I'll be happy to discuss with you if you want to go further. But I try to frame what could be a good start for pedagogy for any topics you want to teach. And perhaps over here on the top, this is just, well, you have a picture of me, by the way. I'm blonde in the reality, but just on the top of that, you are a template that we are presenting in our course online. So what they say is it's about how actually do you want to prepare your course. And when you prepare your course, you need to anticipate few things that you want that you shouldn't anticipate in reality, perhaps. And one thing is the fact that when the student arrive and you want to teach them, you may want to wait a few sessions. So for the first session, you are starting to teach. Students are going to discover this world. So you need to let them some time to discover the world, to get used to manipulate the headset, to perhaps take picture of the beautiful flowers that are here. And quite often teachers want to maximize the time they have with the headset because there are limited equipment, or many teachers need to use it, or they don't want students to be too long with the headset, whatever. So my first thing about pedagogy I want perhaps to give you is make sure you have enough session and let few session where there is some opportunity for the student to be free and to explore the world. And once you've got this session done, you can design the main session where you will be able to teach. So I'll be very happy to give you some more advice about pedagogy, but if you want, I have plenty of things to say about it. I don't know if I
Thank you.
answer you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay, then thanks again, Geraldine. Thank you. And let's move to the next presentation over here.
Thank you.
Down the field. Our next presenter is Christina Abbey. Christina is a French teacher with a PhD in linguistics and didactics for the past 18 years, having taught at all language and age levels, including college. Educational leader, having coordinated languages departments in several IB schools. Thank you, Christina, for coming, and the stage is yours.
Thank you. Uh, well, so I'm going to talk to you about an app that I am planning to use this starting in 2 weeks at my school. And I'm planning to use it for teaching French language for beginners. I explored it and tested it twice with some students last year. And this app, it's Immerse. I don't know if you're familiar with it. They created Immerse created an app which is specially made for language teaching. And that's very interesting because it offers a lot of affordances to the language teachers. And, what I put in here, I put some elements that, in my opinion, are positive points. There are also some negative aspects of it, and I will try to point that out too. So first of all, what I find is very interesting is the fact that the app, you can use it cross devices, but it's just VR headset or PC. So for example, if you want to use it from a phone or a tablet, you cannot use that. Just VR headset and PC. It works very well, doesn't require too much internet band, so that's a huge positive part. What's also very interesting is the fact that except for the lobby where you have attendance and you can take attendance of the students, you can let the students explore the space, learn how to use the controls. You have also some very interesting planning tools. So basically you can create your world uh, and add there, well, I don't think I said very well, like you don't create the world, you enter the world before the class and you can personalize it a little bit. You can add, for example, spinning wheels, you can add whiteboards, you can add different elements which are useful for grouping students, for creating different type of activities. And all these elements, you can record them in the planning part, where you can even put like a lesson plan. Like first I will do that, then I will do that, then I will do that. That's, I find it very helpful when I did the test lesson with my students, because it kind of guided me through what I wanted to do and achieve, and I was sure that I didn't forget anything from the objectives I set. So that's a huge advantage in my opinion, and that's something that's missing in a lot of other apps that I search and test it. Also, what's very interesting is the fact that you can use this app for synchronous interaction, and you can have multiple students in there doing things together. Like, as you can see, there's this picture with a lot of students in the kitchen, and some of them are doing an activity, others are doing another activity. This, in my opinion, is very, very useful, mostly for language teaching and for differentiation. Yep, so that's a big plus. Just like side note, in Immerse is very funny, and kids had a lot of fun with that. You can throw things, objects, and you can break them, you can drink, and you can eat. That was hilarious when we learned a little bit about food and what you can eat and drink and stuff like that. So it's amazing. One downside is the fact that you cannot customize too many things. The words are already set, and those words you cannot change unless you go through them. So through with people from Immerse. Another downside is the fact that the avatars, and you can see this in the last picture on the right, the avatars aren't customizable at all. So once you enter either as a student, either as a teacher, you choose one of these avatars and you cannot change it. Yes, you can juggle between them. Like, for example, if you want to switch identity, you can choose another person, but you cannot personalize as you can do here in ArtSpace VR or in Engage, the hair or the clothes or everything. Another downside, in my opinion, is the fact that you cannot have asynchronous work in there. You cannot embed, for example, I don't know, 2D games. That's not very good. But you can embed videos, you can bring in the world PowerPoint, you can bring in the word PDFs, you can bring in the word pictures. So yeah, these are like the things that I observed in using Immerse. And I will come back with more details about it and how it really worked for a longer period of time, I think after the first semester of next school year. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do we have any questions to Christina? You can click the raised hand button or just start to talk and ask your question if we have.
I had a question. I was wondering, how many, do you know how many worlds are available to you in that Immerse app?
Not that many. It's like around 20. It's not like ArtSpace VR, but it's very closed and very safe. You were mentioning like earlier there was this mention of other people entering the VR world. Well, in Immerse is not possible. That's one element that I highly appreciated with them. So you enter just with the code, and it's just through the teacher that you can join.
Okay. Thank you.
But one
Thank you
thing
so
I didn't
much.
mention, and is very interesting, is the fact that all the words are like, you know, this kind of words that we use in language teacher. That, so there are simulation of restaurant, airport, so situational learning. It's can be easily done.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Thomas. Also.
if you don't have any more questions, we can move to our last presenter. It's Nick Matthews. She's a home educator based in the UK and current team leader of educators in VR virtual schooling team. She's passionate about the power of AR and VR to make learning relevant for homeschoolers and other learners. Thank you for coming, and yeah, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Gingery. Thanks for the introduction, and thank you to the other speakers. It's fascinating, all the apps and providers in this area that I'm looking forward to looking into further. So as Gingery said, I'm a home educator, so I am responsible for educating my child at home. Passionate about learning and education, and when I first saw VR, my head exploded. I think Nicole said as well, just the possibilities. You can imagine thinking all the things that you're trying to do in the real world to make learning fun and engaging and relevant. There's so much capability in VR. So Engage is one of the platforms, I suppose, comparative with AltSpace in a way. And I love AltSpace. I absolutely love Engage. It's different. I suppose it's geared more to the professional in a way for meetings and so on. But it has lots of capabilities for learners as well. And learners is one of the markets that they are after. So these photos, I'm just mindful of the time, so I'll go quite quickly and then maybe ask if there's any gaps or anything. The photos here are of an event that I did about 6 weeks ago, something like that, which was trying to explore the uses of Engage. So it has quite a lot of features and functionality, and I was trying to think how these can be used to good effect in learning. And because I love travel myself and I love France as a country, I thought it would be fun to sort of create a journey within Engage for learners, to go through and see whether we could incorporate some language elements as we went. So one of the things that Engage offers is lots of locations. So locations is their terms for world, and I think there's about 90 which are really good. So you can just use them as they are. For example, there's a French cafe, there's a Chinese palace, there's meeting rooms, there's a posh yacht. So there's all sorts of things where you can use the situation to help learning. But I was also feeling a bit creative, so I also wanted to create an airport location. So they have within Engage, there's digital assets, a menu of digital assets, forgive me, called IFX. I think there's 1,100 that you can click on and bring them into an area like this and basically customize it. So I use those to create an airport area, and then I was looking to make it interactive rather. So there's also a function called post-its where you can create a post-it note, if you imagine like you would do that in the real world, and then bring it into the world. So I did a scavenger hunt within this airport area, which spelled out the name of the location that we were going to. So it was all a surprise. Nobody knew where they were going. And there were 11 letters, and there was a city and a town, a country, sorry. And then so people went and found those. My 11-year-old helped hide those in the location, up on the ceiling, behind the clock, under a chair, and so on. People brought them together, and then they used these letters to rearrange them to find the destination, which happened to be Paris, France. So once we did that, we went through this sort of barrier thing to a departure area, and then we use one of the pre-made Engage locations, which is one of my favorites, which is a plane. I don't know whether any of you have been on it, but it's the interior of a plane, and it's great because it's just a journey. And in terms of VR, where could your destination be? You could use it in all sorts of ways, and for that, so it's all sort of ready-made. You don't really need to tailor it, but I did play around with a friend creating a sort of a trolley for a hostess. And then my friend, one of my very best friends who is French, said, well, hang on a minute, why don't I be the hostess and push the trolley? Can we make the trolley pushable? And by sticking the different digital assets together, you create something called a snapshot. And we did create something, and then she sort of went all what's the word when you go ad lib, improvising, and then basically became an air hostess, or a steward, should I say. And we are able to use the tools within Engage to record that. So we played around with it, and then basically she came through the cabin of the plane and she asked people in French, what would you like, coffee, sir? what were the children like, and so on and so forth. And then when the participants came into the event, I was able to use the controls to press play on that recording. And because we're all avatars like now, you just look like one of us, but she suddenly appeared through the back of the plane as they would, and then started offering drinks and so on. So that was quite good fun. And it also had quite a good effect. So that was that. Then the third location are what the images here show they depict. So that's an area in Engage called the campus. And sorry, I'm mindful of time. So the one on the bottom, this is my friend here. So we created 3 tables. I'm trying to think, how can it be used for language? How can it be used for language? And these 3, there's a third table here, which you can't see. She's in the middle. And these basically, we use the digital IFX, which you can see there, the food and drink items, to depict a typical breakfast, lunch and dinner, so that she could talk about them. And then she talked about them. And then again, I was able to press the recording for the participants to say. It was quite funny because she was she was all askance, thinking that people would think that she ate all of these things rather than these being representative of some of the things that people would eat in France. So you can pause and play, and so on and so forth. So that was good fun. We also used numbers. So you had, she was going through the numbers in French 1 to 10, and she was actually lifting up number 1 and putting it down and so on. So we just played around with some of the interactivity. Was another thing as well that we did that didn't quite make the cut, which was having a conversation where she could ask sort of, how are you? And then somebody would sit in front of that recording and respond. So again, just playing around with different ways that we could use the interactivity. The image at the top here, so we actually brought in, it's not a commonly available feature just yet in terms of bringing in pictures, but I wanted to make this space look and feel like France. So there are free images on the internet of Paris, and obviously there's the Eiffel Tower there. So that gave a feeling of being in France. Not visible is a French cafe, and then I was able to bring in chair and tables, which you put it alongside the cafe. So it's sort of merging the 2D and the 3D element, if you like, and then an interactable cup of coffee. And then the activity there's some of the post-it notes that I mentioned before. And I had a true and false sort of quiz. So it's facts about the Eiffel Tower. You can't quite see the T and the F, but they're there. So we had a bunch of notes, and then participants had to decide whether they thought they were true or false. So it's just an interactive way of learning facts about the Eiffel Tower, which is quite interesting, like it was told twice for scrap and things like that. um, so yeah, so I've gabbled through that a little bit in terms of speed. It was just it was an exercise to explore really the features of the platform and the uses, especially in terms of travel, language, and that kind of thing. And it was good fun. So Engage, if you're not aware of it, you can have a look online and see all the details. There's free options you can try. There's paid options. You can get a month free even on the paid options, which gives you more functionality. VR and PC access, you can even access it on your phone now, so that's really good. Yeah, that's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. Yeah, thank you. Do I
Okay.
have any questions? Yeah, Geraldine, you can unmute you and ask the question.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I really like Engage too, and I was wondering how teachers are using it. My question is, how much time does it amplify? Yeah, maybe that's better. Okay, do you hear me a little bit better? My question is,
Yeah.
how much time does it take for your friend to record herself speaking and like acting the little scenario you designed? And also, was it possible for you to invite your friend, or it was more convenient for her to make a recording?
Thank you. So in terms of the actual recording itself, great question, by the way. In terms of the recording itself, she was very good and very sort of natural and ad-libbing. And because we were just happy to with it, and if it hadn't been right, then we would have recorded it again. But as it was, it didn't take many. We did have a few giggles and a few mistakes, and we just stopped and recorded again. So it was sort of low pressure. we didn't. So rather than me script, I sort of said this is a kind of thing, and then she went with it, and it went really well. So I suppose it depends on the individual. It could be as easy as just recording now and then stop and perfect and then try something else. But in terms of the actual controls and stuff, you'll know if you engage. It's very straightforward. It's not arduous to sort of stop and record again. It's very intuitive. Does that answer your question? Did that had two parts of your question? Does that answer?
Yes, yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I've tried the tool in English to record it, and I know it's very intuitive. I was just wondering, for someone who like to record themselves, like, is it like very difficult or not? But I guess it must be a lot of fun. So I keep that in mind.
It is fun, and you can record. So if you've got a light account, which is the free account, you can only record yourself. With the plus account, then you can record selected others, and you can edit the recording afterwards. So the recording captures everything, but then in your playback, you can select. You can leave me out. I could leave her out and just have the effects if necessary. You can even override her voice with Spanish, for example. So the options are really incredible in terms of language learning, in my opinion. Obviously, you've got to think about the interactivity because it is a recording, but it can be good to hear and listen and practice and so on. And again, you could do synchronous and asynchronous. You can do it as a group, or people could potentially access a recording afterwards and go through it by themselves, depending on the setup and the subscription level.
And do you feel the student felt more confident interacting and because it was a recording than if it would have been a real person present in the world at that time? Because I really have this I really think that because it's recording, when you learn a language, you're more confident by the fact if you make a mistake, that will be okay. And then the teacher is here. What is your opinion on that?
So from my perspective, this was a bit of a trial. I was exploring it for the purpose of this is the kind of thing the platform could do. And rather than being a sort of an official study or even putting students, so participants came through rather than students. So in that respect, you'd have to get students through and then therefore get their opinion and so on. My personal opinion is like you, with a recording, you might feel more confident and less self-conscious. It could be good in getting used to actually forming the words and having a go, even if it's not perfect. But you can also there's no reason why you couldn't have that happening there and then having a teacher here sort of ready to help as and when necessary. You could have a mix of the two.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your answers.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. We also have a Hackathon in the queue.
Hi, and thank you very much for this experience. Can I ask whether your child is she 11? Did you say? Is that correct?
Yes. He's 11. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you both wearing a headset?
So in that instance, when he helps, it's yes, he was. Yes, so we had a headset each, and he's actually devised a way to move around and engage where enables him to go up to the roof and place the post-it. So he's quite explorative and creative and engaged, and he often teaches me things.
Do you find there is a sorry, I think I need to alternate my auto level. Do you hear me okay? Anyway,
that's fine.
do you find that there is a restriction of the time of wearing a headset for your child or yourself?
Yes, he's not in that long. So, for example, I had a specific thing where I thought he would be beneficial and it would also be good for him to do it. So that didn't take him long. So I tend to spend quite a lot of time. I think individually people are different. So I can tolerate the headset for quite a long time if I'm focused on a task without too much detriment. It doesn't tend to give me a headache or make me feel tired or anything. But I suppose it depends what you're doing. If I'm active and creative, then I'm sort of in the flow, and I think that means, do you know what I mean? It's a different experience like anything. If I was more passive maybe or less engaged, then I might sort of Sorry. I hit my headset then and moved. So yes, so he doesn't spend a lot of time in a headset, and if he does get uncomfortable, then he says it and he comes out straight away.
Thank you. So we don't have any more questions. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can ask a question. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Do you want to amplify me? Just so there you go. Hi. It's great to hear someone homeschooling in the UK. As you can hear, I'm also from the UK.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that you obviously see the potential of VR as being like amazing for homeschooling. So I was wondering, did you have experience using Immerse Me and Monly? Because obviously there's these two other panels next to you, or was it just Engage that you used? And I'm just intrigued as to, well, why these two are here.
I haven't.
No, you haven't. No.
Well, I haven't used Immerse. I have used Mondly. I have played around with Mondly for myself, and I love the concept of Mondly. I love the sort of the interactivity. I think often there's things you can take from different approaches. I do like the concept of being put into I love sort of situational, experiential, context-based, all that kind of thing. So obviously Mondly encompasses those. And that's sort of what I was trying to play around with here. You know, if it's relevant and you've got that sense of being. Sorry, just one thing, if I may, that I forgot to mention. One of the features of Engage is that you can actually bring in audio and you can bring in things like YouTube. So in the airport, I had like an airport ambience sound. So it had, please go to gate number 40 in the background, and then you'd hear a shh of an airplane going. And also we had French music playing quietly in the top one. So I mention that now because you've just triggered my recollection that it's that sort of, to me, it's the environmental, it's the ambience, it's the sense that you are in a place that helps make it realistic and fun and memorable, hopefully.
Oh, that's really interesting. Are you just teaching your son French, or are you? I imagine it's just French, right, rather than Spanish. Yeah.
We do all sorts, and I sort of more facilitate rather than teach, if you like, and I bring in, I curate, so it's not sort of direct that, but because I'm interested anyway in learning and education, I sort of play around with these ideas, and then hopefully he's receptive to some of them. Yeah.
That's great to hear, and thanks, for explaining about the audio is so important as well. I do really
I'd
think
forgotten
that
that.
in the environments. Yeah.
It does make a difference, and just be mindful if you're doing it and there's people in 2D, for some reason it plays more loudly for people in 2D, so they've got headphones. So I'd recommend putting it really low to begin with and then just creep it up a little bit. I think automatically it goes on at 75% of the maximum audio, and that can be really quite painful, so it's just worth noting that. Put it low first.
Yeah, don't deafen people in VR. Yeah,
exactly.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Cheers.
No, thanks for your question. Thank you.
We also have morning calm. You can ask your question.
Oh, that was me. That was me speaking. Sorry, I'm maybe.
Sorry, because I can see that because you're in the line.
I'm in a line
right
with
to
three
me.
people,
Okay,
yeah.
So do we have any other questions? No, I guess not. Okay. Thank you. What an amazing session. So many inspiring projects and even more inspiring, awesome creators. Thank you for doing that, for showing us that education in virtual reality is not something from a sci-fi movie. It's our present times. I would also love to thank our audience for joining our event and participating in the discussions. Here we have a couple of additional posters as bonus, so feel free to check them out here and try with your headset. One is called Immerse Me, and that one is Monthly, like Nick also mentioned. Also, let me tell a couple of words about the next event. Our next event is going to start in an hour. well, less than an hour after the break at basically 12 p.m. Pacific time. The event is called World Tour for Language Teaching in Altspace VR. And during our world tour, we will explore virtual worlds built by educators in VR specifically for language teaching and find out how they might be used in the classroom with Laurel. Okay, so yeah, special thanks to all the moderators and video team for their support and help, for Laurel and Anita and Lance, Gabriel, and Mark for all their huge help in preparing for the conference. Thank you so much. And the event is over, and we'll see you